All right, so when we're talking about building muscle, and that's kind of like your first time really diving into this process, and that doesn't mean you haven't tried building muscle before, but maybe you're now really trying to achieve some decent amount of lean tissue. So not just going to the gym to build muscle, but actively trying to build muscle. And I know those basically the same things, but they're not. There's people that go to the gym with the intent on building muscle, and then there's the people that go to the gym that really dial in, really focus on making that a primary goal. So I'm talking to the people that aren't just going to the gym to build muscle, but they're actively training now. They're taking a little bit more responsibility and attention to detail to what they're doing, and that is their specific goal. They're following a program that's going to help them get stronger and really help them get to that next sphere of their body composition and their physical potential. So some of the best things you can start out with off the bat would be going in and connecting and feeling the muscle. When you're trying to build muscle, I'm an advocate of training heavier, obviously, and working your way up to heavier weights, and obviously programming and phasing your workouts where we kind of interchange the two. However, we don't want to lift heavy weights just for the sake of lifting heavy weights, because if we're lifting heavy weights with really poor form or poor connection, or it's outside of our sphere of control, that's not going to be a good thing for your body, right? That's not going to help you build a lot of muscle because you're not connecting to the muscle, right? And we want to be able to go to the gym, pick up weights, and get the response that we're looking for, not just pick up weights for the sake of picking up weights. So we want to make sure we go in there, we have a more detailed approach to what we're doing. We're feeling the muscle, we're connecting to the muscle. So if we're doing an exercise that's built around developing our back, for example, you should feel your back while doing that movement. Same thing goes for if we're working an exercise that is built around feeling our glutes or working our glutes. You should feel your glutes work, or your hamstrings, or your lower back, or your biceps, or your chest, or your shoulders. You should put a solid amount of time and detail into making sure the muscle you're working, you are successfully connecting to and feeling while working that muscle. That obviously just makes sense. It's practical. However, a lot of people go into the gym, they perform a back exercise or a chest exercise or a leg exercise, yet they don't feel that muscle. So what good are you doing at that point, right? Chances are you're really not connected, and you're probably putting your body in a very precarious position where it could lead to injury or imbalances, and you're just getting a subpar result of the work that you're putting in. So you really want to make sure that you're connecting to the muscle, you're feeling the muscle, you're in there with intent on what you're doing on every single rep, every single set. And of course, we want to slowly work our way to making those sets more challenging with heavier weights, but you can really make lightweight feel heavy. And especially if you're early on and you're more of a newbie in terms of going to the gym to take on this process and go down a path of really trying to put on 5 to 10 to 15 pounds of muscle over the next year or two, there you want to dial it back a little bit, and you want to make lighter weight feel heavier. So how do you do that? A few different ways. Obviously, we kind of highlighted it. Connecting and feeling and squeezing the muscle is going to be a big one. Making sure you're really focused on the intent of the exercise. We can slow the movement down. So slowing the movement down is obviously going to enhance the possibility and the likelihood that we're actually going to feel the muscle we're working. If we're doing speed reps going through it, there's a lot that can go on. We can have a lot of rotation that we don't want, or unwanted rotation. We can have instability, and we can have other muscles just take over the movement. So slowing the movement down and really filling that muscle up with a lot of blood is your best approach early on, right? You want to make lightweight feel much heavier than it is. Now, I can do that, and the biggest, baddest bodybuilders can do that, right? They can take a subpar weight and make that weight feel as if they're pushing their body to a 5 rep or 3 rep max. So it's just on the intent. Now, they have a lot of experience at this time, in this stage of their life, where they can make a lightweight feel really heavy. It's a skill, obviously. It's a learned skill. But early on, when you're going into the gym, try to take some of those same tactics into your routine, right? Try to really feel the muscle when you're doing it. Now, when it gets a little complicated is when we're doing more multi-joint, big complex movements like the barbell back squat and the deadlift, for example. There you're not really looking to isolate a muscle. There's a lot going on. It's obviously multi-joint, and it's built around you getting a massive signal sent because you are eliciting a lot of recruitment through your muscles and muscle fibers to perform that lift. That's why they're so beneficial. So there you wouldn't go in there trying to feel the muscle as much, but you would try to create this irradiation effect and this internal tension that will translate really well to at least signaling the right muscles. So for example, if I'm doing a back squat, maybe I'm not focused primarily on the quads or the hamstrings or the glutes, but I will focus on a lot of internal tension. So, peeling the floor apart, bracing through the core, nice and tight with my feet driving through the ground. And I'm gonna drive up through the ground as I extend my hips and go into lockout. So I'm just a lot more connected to the movement. And with that, you'll notice that you're gonna feel your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes really light up just because you're taking your time and you're being more responsible with the movement and not doing it in a sporadic, disconnected fashion. So those are a couple things that you definitely can do to enhance the success rate of what you're doing in the gym early on, because we don't want to chase heavier weight just for the sake of chasing heavier weight. I love strength training. I've been doing it for a long time. I love powerlifting. I love explosive lifting. But again, I've got to a point where I know what my intent is, and sometimes it's not to build the most amount of muscle, but it's in there to lift weights effectively and move more weight with greater fluidity. So again, depending on your goal, it's going to change a little bit, right? But early on, based on this video, we're talking about building lean muscle tissue, getting more protective tissue on your body, supporting your joints and ligaments, increasing your metabolism, doing things that are really healthy for the body, and that's putting on muscle. And again, we want to be a little bit more focused on the intent rather than going in there just looking at the exercise, but then completely dismissing how to perform that exercise most appropriately. So early on, slow things down. Make sure you even lock in the use of isometric. So at the bottom, part of the lift, the part with the place of most tension is a great opportunity to hold that position because there is so much tension. There is a very deep stretch of a muscle that there you can actually hold it for a second or two, really emphasize the amount of tension in that deep range of motion, and then come out of that position. And that's gonna really help you to connect as well. And it's gonna help elicit that hypertrophic response that we're actually looking for here. So those are a couple tactics early on when we're trying to build muscle, to really hone in on, really focus on. Yes, like I said, we're gonna try to move heavier weight over time, but early on, make that lighter weight feel heavier. And when you do that, you'll notice that when you do jump to heavier weights, you're gonna be more connected, you're gonna have a greater response, and your body's gonna look substantially better, faster. So again, it's just a win-win overall, but those are a couple of really important, really useful tactics that you guys can use when you go into the gym early on, following a new training program and looking to create a high level or high degree of muscle hypertrophy. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below on your journey and what you're enjoying about your current training plan.